There are certain races that, for whatever reason, just seem to capture your imagination. And since I started trail running 10 years ago, there's been one race right at the top of my bucket list: UTMB. It's considered the Super Bowl of trail running, and with over 10,000 meters of elevation gain, it's widely considered to be one of the most difficult races in the world.
Wow!
This year, Audrey and I would both have the chance to toe the starting line. And this film will show you both of our perspectives, with an intimate look at this incredible event.
Come on.
There is no aid station here, but at least there's water.
I'm quite a bit behind my time goal.
That climb pretty much broke my spirit.
I'm glad to have that climb over with. This is a lot of fun.
The Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc starts and finishes in Chamonix, France. It follows for the most part the route for the Tour de Mont Blanc, taking runners on a complete loop, 171 kilometers or 106 miles around the Mont Blanc Massif, passing through Italy and Switzerland before returning to France. There will be rest stops every 10 or 15 kilometers providing food and drinks, including 4 major life bases with hot meals, beds, and even massages. Audrey and I were lucky to have spent the entire month of August in France preparing for the race, starting by fast-packing the Tour de Mont Blanc over 4 nights earlier in the month. This gave us a chance not only to get a feel for the route, but also to experience some of the views that we'd missed during the race while running at night. After our adventure on the TMB, we spent the next couple of weeks tapering while working remotely, starting with a week in the nearby city of Annecy, which is centered around a medieval old town with canals running right through it, giving it the nickname Venice of the Alps. We then spent a week at a ski resort at altitude in La Plagne, a couple of hours away, so we could continue to acclimatize as we got in our last few training runs, before returning to Chamonix for the week of the race.
Avec vue sur le Mont Blanc.
So we've arrived back in Chamonix, and there's definitely a noticeable difference in the energy and the number of people out in the streets from a few weeks ago when we were here to do the Tour de Mont Blanc. So fortunately, our apartment's up here on the hill. A little bit difficult to get to with your suitcases, but we're about a 5 to 10 minute walk from the start-finish line. So we're just far enough away from the noise and the chaos, because it gets pretty noisy and pretty chaotic here during UTMB race week.
We spent the next couple of days catching up with friends and exploring the Race Expo. We had to do our bib pickup and mandatory gear check. And we'd been asked to participate in a shoot of some before and after photos, before finally the day of the race was upon us. So just putting the finishing touches on gear prep here for UTMB. We've got 8 hours till race start. There's quite a bit of required gear for the race, since it's not uncommon to have rain and even snow at higher elevations. This includes spare warm clothing, waterproof layers, 2 headlamps, and some medical supplies. Both Audrey and I would largely be relying on the aid stations for food, but we would be supplementing this with our own nutrition, including an energy drink mix from NAC. We had prepackaged these into single-serving portions so that we could refill our bottles along the way. We'd have access to just one drop bag at the halfway point of the race, but fortunately for us, our friend Charles would be giving us additional support at a few points along the course, so he could provide us with some supplies then as well. I had borrowed a new pair of poles from Charles, but everything else was tried and tested gear. My plan was to run the first half of the race in a pair of the Salomon S-Lab Pulsar soft grounds, but I had a pair of the new S-Lab Genesis in my drop bag just in case. We spent the rest of the day relaxing and having a nap, followed by a late lunch. And soon it was time to head into town so that we could line up for the start of the race.
It's about 4:20, so the clock is ticking, about an hour and a half until start time. How's it going?
How's it going, man?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Ready?
We said hello to my friend Raphael, who would be filming the race for his own YouTube channel.
Okay, merci beaucoup. We're committed now.
And then handed in our drop bags.
That's it, no going back.
We're taking our stuff to Copenhagen, so.
Gotta go pick it up. Hey, Ben, Sarah, hi. Okay, so we just arrived at the start here. We're in a good position, although we've got an hour and 15 minutes to wait. Ran into Ben and Sarah here, Ben Parks. I'm sure you guys know him, and if not, definitely follow his YouTube channel. I'll put that up on screen. We've been following their preparation pretty closely and their training over the last couple of months. So yeah, it started to rain. There was rain in the forecast. It's just a drizzle though at this point, and it's quite warm, it's quite humid, so, you know, far from having to wear hard shells, that's for sure. But we'll see. It could get a little bit cooler tonight, especially up at altitude. 10 minutes.
Pour certains, ça fait des années et des années que vous attendez ce départ.
I first got to experience the excitement of UTMB back in 2018, when I spent a week in Chamonix preparing for Tour des Géants in the nearby Italian Alps. I was back again the following year to support Audrey as she ran TDS, part of the UTMB series. But this was the first time that either of us had been selected in the lottery to run the full loop. This year's race would include almost 2,800 runners from around the world, representing 106 different nationalities, all with a single objective.
Et de pouvoir être régulièrement sur ces grandes courses. À tous, quel que soit votre niveau, quelle que soit votre raison, quelle que soit votre envie, vous partez de Chamonix et on vous attend tous à Chamonix.
France, Italy, Switzerland, 105 countries together. For all those miles on the mountains, for friends, for family.
Insane. Still going. Wow. Any tips for me here?
Oh, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You've done enough.
Yeah.
You've done
One
enough.
foot in front of the other, right?
Yeah, and just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
Enjoy the adventure, enjoy the views, we've got
Yeah.
good weather, good running conditions.
Yeah, perfect, right?
And stay safe, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Have a good one, mate.
Thanks, man.
We'll see
Take
you
care.
at the finish,
Yeah, see you at the finish. So we're off to a pretty fast start, as expected. 5:10, 5:15 per kilometer. That'll slow down as soon as we hit the first climb, I'm sure, but people are excited, lots of adrenaline. You kind of got to go with the flow here, or else you get stuck way at the back. So you're from Quebec City?
Yeah, Quebec City.
Fellow Canadian?
Yeah.
And this is your second time running UTMB?
Yes. I did 43 hours first time. So,
Okay, what's your goal this time?
I just want to finish and have fun.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the moment, enjoy the experience.
We got Ben here. It's not so bad. It's basically a road race so far, right?
Yeah. I was going to say this is probably my slowest opening K race I've done.
It's funny, it's Ben's slowest opening kilometer and probably my fastest in a while. I think it's a little early for beer. What do you think?
You're a bit.
Ask me tomorrow.
Enjoy it, boys, enjoy it.
2.5 kilometers into the race. And as you can see, there's still been no break in the spectators and supporters lining the streets and the sidewalks here. Just incredible. Hit our first little hill here and our first little walk break. And I remember this train being pretty rolling all the way into Les Houches, so I'm gonna hang back a little bit. I won't try to pass people yet. There's lots of time for that. And we'll take it easy because I know we've got a lot of time coming up. Okay, so we're just coming into Les Houches here, 7.5 kilometers in, and this is the start and finish, the official start of the Tour de Mont Blanc, right up here.
So Quebec Mega Trail, big chafing, like Audrey was in the background thinking the same thing. My butt was on fire. So I've got the lube in the back this time.
Jean-Philippe here, fellow Canadian from Ottawa. Brought some extra lube this time.
Yep.
All right, I remember this part. Up we go.
After starting the race in Chamonix, we had run on mostly flat and rolling terrain through Les Houches, where there was a quick water stop. From here, we'd climb out of the Chamonix Valley before dropping back down to the aid station in Saint-Gervais. We'll then continue up the valley along some urban trails to the next aid station in Les Contamines.
She's coming up on 10K here. I was wondering where Audrey went. She's up ahead there. Let's go say hi. Audrey.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
I thought you were behind me.
No, I passed you when we were chatting. I just had to get into a rhythm, you know?
Yeah. I remember this climb.
Me too.
We hit another bottleneck here, that's for sure. The trick is to just go around.
The cutoff time for the race is 46 hours and 30 minutes. And while the best runners typically complete the loop in just over 20 hours, both Audrey and I would be aiming to finish in somewhere between 30 to 38. My own goal really being just to finish before seeing a second sunrise.
So how you feeling so far?
Very good.
You're eating?
Yeah, I already ate some big bars.
Good.
I was hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, we missed dinner, so it's a little bit tricky. And we forgot to bring extra food for the start line, so we kind of started hungry, but we've got some time to catch up here. So when I went to use my poles for the first time, I quickly realized that my gloves were on upside down. I guess that's the downside to using new gear on race day.
So, just about 2 hours in, I believe I'm just cresting the top of the very first big climb out of Les Ouches. Soon here we're going to be dropping down to Saint-Gervais. It's a nice evening. It's cooler up here, which is nice. No rain so far, but some clouds.
Eric, where was it you said you were from again?
Northern California, Carlsbad.
Northern California. Right. Just running with Eric here from the States. Should be coming up to an aid station pretty quick. Get some more water. The rain stopped before the start, hasn't started again. We've got beautiful light. And fortunately it's also cooling down finally. It was quite humid there through the start. So this is the section that we skipped on the Tour de Mont Blanc. We stayed high, went up past the glacier, and it's super runnable. Much more runnable than what we had done. Just chatting to my new friend Jonathan here from the UK. Where
Hello,
exactly?
London.
London, of course.
Not London, Ontario, London, England.
The good London, as we would say in Canada. You just did a 100-miler, what, a month ago rather?
Yeah, last month. So,
what was it called again?
Lakeland 100.
Okay, Lakeland.
So yeah, good warm up for this one. Not nearly as much as Senna.
I'll see.
But we just don't have hills like this in
yeah, so how did you train for this? Did you make it over
here?
here?
Yeah, I didn't really. That was the last. Well, I've been here for a week, so
okay.
I've done some hikes.
Yeah.
We went up to about 3,000 meters.
Okay.
Yeah, I realised how unacclimatized I am. This is a lot more runnable.
That's right.
Should be good. As we're proving right now. 5:10 pace. Wow.
You can hear the aid station down there, though. Yeah. We must be getting close. Yeah. Got some Coke, some water, and some soup. It's never too early to start eating real food. Un peu plus de l'eau, s'il vous plaît. C'est bon, merci. Water her down a bit. Oh yeah, it's good. That was a pretty efficient stop. I drank a couple of cups of Coke and some waters. I refilled my bottles. I had a cup of soup, and then I grabbed a big Ziploc bag full of food for the road. And I'm not even sure what I grabbed. Cookies, banana bread, granola bars, a whole bunch of stuff. And then I ate a big couple mouthfuls of fruit on the way out. So I've got food for the road. I spent no more than a few minutes there, but definitely got a bit of energy from those big crowds. It was a lot of fun. Merci.
That was a bit intense. The aid station there in Saint-Gervais. I saw Jeff, so he left just a couple minutes ahead of me. Got my water bottles filled up, put some more NAC drink mix in one of my bottles, had a couple of snacks and a big glass of Coke, and I got my headlamp out because, as you can see, it's dark now. Next stop, Les Contamines.
So Jeff here from South Carolina by way of
Southern California.
Southern California. You know what's coming up? What's next year?
A big ass climb.
I feel like you could say that pretty much at any point in this course and be right, hey?
Alps, straight up.
Yeah, we're about 26K in, 3.5 hours. Feeling good. We're just getting into the night here, so I'm just talking about strategies for trying to finish in the dark tomorrow night, but hopefully not see a second sunrise, right?
Sure.
This is a party. That's fun.
I'm about to arrive in Les Contamines. I think I'm just 1 or 2 kilometers away now. Hey, merci! Merci. My quads are feeling very tender already on the descents, so that is not good at all. I feel fine on the climbs though, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay, we're at close to 31 kilometers, and I can hear an announcer on a mic, which can mean only one thing. We must be nearing another aid station here. It's a pretty short segment. Wow, jam-packed in here. How are you doing?
Good. It's chaos in here.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I hate it.
You're doing great? You got a good pace?
Feeling good. My quads are really sore on the downhill already.
Yeah, I know, same. I'm gonna have some soup and get out of here.
Okay, you're not gonna be seeing Charles?
I don't think I need anything, so yeah. Yeah, thanks. Okay, see ya. Okay, some Mars bars for the road. It's time to get out of here. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so just leaving Les Contamines at just over 31 kilometers. Audrey caught right up to me there again, so she's doing really well. She's looking strong. Our friend Charles is there as well to provide a bit of support, but I got out of there pretty quick. I did have some soup, a bit more Coke. I refilled my bottles and grabbed a bit of food for the road, a couple of Mars bars and things like that. Oh yeah, and I stuffed my face with watermelon. I love watermelon.
Leaving Les Contamines will now begin a long climb up to Col du Bonhomme, passing La Balme aid station along the way, before dropping 1,000 meters back down to the life base in Les Chapieux. From there, we'll climb again up to Col de la Seine, where we'll cross into Italy before dropping down to the aid station at Lac Combal.
So that was Les Contamines de Montjoie. It was absolute chaos in there. So many people. I saw Jeff again. I think he left again just a couple minutes before me. Wonder how long we'll play that game. And then Charles was there, which is great. So he brought me just a little bit of extra nutrition. So I loaded up on more gels and waffles. And I got my soft shell jacket for tonight, which I think will come in handy. So here we go.
Okay, so now we've got this fairly long stretch of runnable, somewhat flat terrain. I remember this from our first day on the tour. The good news is I feel better now than I did when we were fast packing the route. Probably thanks to having a much lighter pack today. And it's not exactly flat, it's more of a false flat as we sort of climb upstream along this river here before eventually starting our real climb. What is this? Merci beaucoup. This is awesome. Merci. Well, that's something you don't see on every course. All right, this is the start of our next climb here. Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Making our way now up to Col du Bonhomme, which is really beautiful. I'm glad we got to see it in daylight a few weeks ago.
Allez, allez, bravo!
Merci.
Bravo, let's go!
So I just ran into Drew here. Drew, how did we meet?
At a race called I'm Tough in the States in Idaho. The 5 of us linked up and cruised in for the last 60 miles and caught a bunch of people on the way and had some good stories.
We had just horrible weather, and it was one of those races where all of a sudden we just had a crew of guys and we thought, hey, one of the more memorable 100 milers I've run.
Yeah, I remember we kept catching people and trying to get them to
say like, hop on this train, come on. It's cool to run into you out here, man.
Absolutely.
This is great. Merci beaucoup. Alright, so that was a quick stop at that aid station. Filled up my bottles, grabbed a bit of fruit, a few things for the road. So we're just climbing now up to Col du Bonhomme, which I'm glad I saw during the day because it was absolutely beautiful. During our fast pack of the TMB. Tonight it might be a little bit cool up there. My arm warmers on and ready. And worst case, I can throw my hard shell on as well. Just a train of headlamps. Both directions, as far as the eye can see. Bonjour. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so we've reached the col. Now we've got a bit of a traverse, kind of slowly climbs up to the refuge, and then from there we drop down, and we'll eventually make our way into Italy here.
Just arrived at Col de Bonhomme. That was a tough climb. This is pretty much like the first, high point of the race, and definitely feels like it.
That was quite a long climb. I've got to say, I felt great. I felt super strong. I must have passed, I don't know, it felt like 100 people. I think the altitude training really paid off. We are 45 kilometers in, so the race is still young. And this looks to be a checkpoint just up here. Okay, merci à tous, merci. Bye-bye. Just a checkpoint, not an aid station. I think we've got to drop down into the valley for that. Okay, let's get out of here.
On ne s'arrête pas.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Merci. Allons-y.
Allons-y. Let's go.
Merci beaucoup. Spent a few minutes at that aid station fueling up. Had some more soup with noodles, a couple cups of Coke, refilled my bottles, and then I grabbed some stuff for the road. A little apple puree pack and a piece of cake. Because this next stretch is a bit of a doozy. It's 17 kilometers, we've got a big climb, and then we'll be dropping down into Italy.
Juste la moitié, c'est bon. Merci.
André, du fromage et de la soupe.
Ouais, je vais essayer la soupe, merci. Ouais, merci. Je peux avoir du riz dedans? Oui. Ok, c'est bon, c'est bon. Ouais, il y a non, ça va, je vais écouter aussi. Merci, bon courage. Pardon, excusez-moi.
Genesis, moi, depuis 2 ans.
Pardon?
Sur ce projet.
Pardon, excusez-moi. Alright, it's a good stop here at Le Chapieux. 50k down. Had some soup with some rice. That was delicious. And got a bit of a road section, which is a gradual uphill. And then a big climb to Col de la Seigne. So will take probably a couple hours at least.
So Jacob, you've run this before.
I've done it 3 times.
3 times.
And this is as good as it gets.
So
Right? You don't have to change clothes.
That's right.
Perfect.
Perfect, not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah.
So any advice for me here at my first time?
Continue as you do. Make sure you get enough to eat.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that you need advice. You're doing fine. Right?
I appreciate that, thank you. Okay, I think we're finally at the top of this climb. You can see it up ahead. And this is the Italian border. Beautiful view during the day. And this next section is just stunning. Again, during the day. Bonjour.
Hello. It's okay.
Ok, merci beaucoup.
Super les gars, allez, courage.
Col de la Seigne.
Allez Marco.
Okay, through the checkpoint there at kilometer 63. It's 4 in the morning. And if I'm honest, I'm starting to get a little tired.
So it is 4:30 a.m. and I've just reached the top of Col de la Seigne. That was a really tough climb. It's a long one, but I had some company. I met James from Scotland, who knows my good friend Jackie. So he was telling me that they ran together at TDG in 2013. So that was cool. We shared a few kilometers. That made the climb go by. But in the midst of doing that, I've not been eating. And now I'm starved. So I gotta eat something before I start the long descent into Italy. Bonjour.
Comment ça va? Ça se passe bien?
Bonjour.
Il est où? Il est là?
Ouais.
Parfait.
Merci.
Voilà.
This section here is absolutely heinous. Just a bunch of loose, slippery rocks. In fact, I don't remember this at all. Yeah, I think we might have skipped this during the TMB because I really don't remember. The climb we just did, and then this awful descent. We are dropping down now to La Combal, which is the next big aid station. That cannot come soon enough.
Now in Italy, we'll climb up on the other side of the valley, where we'll catch the sunrise from behind the Mont Blanc Massif, before dropping all the way down to the life base in Courmayeur at the halfway point of the race. There we'd have access to our drop bags for the first and only time.
I took a few extra minutes here because, well, first I was hungry, but also I have a half-broken toenail that's been bothering me. It keeps like kind of getting caught in my sock and shoe, and it's threatening to break off completely, and that would be very painful. So I just had one of the first aid attendant tape it so that it doesn't get worse. So that just took a few minutes. I had a cup of coffee. That was nice because, I mean, it is morning. Oranges, bananas, and some chocolate coffee cake. You know, breakfast of champions. And now it's about 13 kilometers to Courmayeur. A short-ish climb, 400 meters or so. And then the long descent. And I will see Charles again. And I'll probably change my clothes because I feel super gross. Anyways, it's a nice morning.
We're nearing the top of this climb, and this sunrise is going to be spectacular. Checkpoint up here. Bonjour. Bonjour. Okay, so now we descend. We've got 9 kilometers to go until Courmayeur.
I do remember this climb when we did a TMB, climbed up here, and then we stopped for the night at Refugio du Randonneur. So this time, no stopping for the night.
Uh-oh. poor herder back here asked me, he said, what happened? Why is everybody running? And I said, well, there's a race. Many people are going to be coming through. He said, many people? I said, many people. So he's pretty upset about it, but I'm not really sure that there's much they can do. Oh, what a mess. There's a whole herd of cows up here and a whole herd of runners stuck behind them. Come on. Oh no, there's a whole herd coming. Oh no. Gotta get in front of these guys. Woo. Close call. Merci. Just grabbed a quick bite for the road, a bit of Coke. And that's the refuge up there that we stayed at. So now we drop all the way down to Courmayeur.
Courmayeur is the site of the start and finish of Tour des Géants, a 330-kilometer race around the Aosta Valley that I ran back in 2018.
Magnifique.
Oui, merci. Ciao, grazie.
Prego.
All right, I got my drop bag. I'm go inside. Merci beaucoup. And see if Charles is here maybe to help me out, and if not, that's all right. Do you have the sunscreen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'll probably spray myself.
Really stunning morning out here. Cannot believe how lucky I am. It is 7:30 a.m. and I am on my way down to Courmayeur.
Okay, I had soup, bread, ham, chips. I think I'm good. I am changing my shoes though. I'm going to put on the S-Lab Genesis. My feet are getting a little bit sore in the downhills, so I think I'm pushing it a bit in the Pulsar soft grounds, and I put on clean socks as well. I think I'm good to go. Thank you. Grazie. Okay, that was a long stop. I think I was in there for over 20 minutes, but I changed my socks, I changed my shoes. I ate a lot, and I took care of a few things. So we're close to the halfway point, so sometimes it's worth investing the time.
Ciao.
Ciao. Grazie.
It's really important to be efficient in the aid stations. Just an extra few minutes in each can add up to an hour very easily over the course of a race.
Grazie.
You don't have to be moving fast, but you should always be moving. Some of the leaders of the race, by comparison, would spend under 20 minutes in total at the aid stations, less than I'd spent in Courmayeur alone. That's largely thanks to their having such a large and well-organized support crew, not unlike the pit crew for a Formula One race car driver.
So I was dreading that descent I just did. I think it's one of the steepest on the course, and it's tight and technical and super dusty and slippery. My nemesis. It's done now and just about in Courmayeur. Okay, I'm just gonna go try and get some food, and I'll come back here to eat it.
Ah, it's funny, there's always a cloud hanging over the top of Mont Blanc. So we're just coming up to the top of this climb out of Courmayeur here, and then we're gonna have a long traverse with an incredible view of the Massif. And this is actually the last stretch of the Tour des Géants course, coming the opposite direction, heading down into Courmayeur. And when I ran it, I finished around midnight, so it was pitch black. So I was blown away when we did this a few weeks ago while fast packing the route. And it took me a minute to piece it together and realize that, yeah, we were in fact on the TDG course. In a little while here, once we head into Switzerland, we're also gonna overlap with about a 10-kilometer section of the Swiss Peaks 360 course as well, which I ran the year later in 2019. I've just been talking to Joseph here on the climb up, who is from Salt Lake City, United States, and he ran the Grand de Grand and actually won it in 2019. He's going back this year. That was my first stage race back in 2015. How's your race going today?
It's a little rough.
Yeah.
Ran out of water for a while and it just turned my stomach, so I'm feeling pretty nauseous.
Yeah. Joseph was just telling me about the struggles of having a size 15 foot when it comes to finding good shoes. All right, grabbed a few snacks, filled up my water. We've got 12 kilometers till the next aid station. It's gonna be warm, but it should be a fast 12K. It's quite runnable. So Kate, you're from Colorado.
Sure am.
It's a beautiful state, my favorite. How's your race going?
Oh, it's going well.
Yeah. You're looking good.
Thanks. I think my stomach is starting to feel the heat.
I don't know if you're paying attention, but you must be, what, top 75 woman?
No idea.
Top 100 for sure.
That is encouraging to hear.
There she is. Rosa de Hy, Le Massif.
After leaving Courmayeur, I had climbed back up the other side, where the course now takes runners along a beautiful traverse with incredible views of the Massif. We'll then drop down to an aid station before beginning one of our most difficult climbs up to Grand Col Ferret on the Swiss border.
Bonjour. Bon, alors, mon problème en fait, c'est que j'ai cette tongue qui est cassée. Ouais. Et puis là, ça a tendance à se soulever. Ouais. Donc, au dernier ravito, on l'a tapé, mais là, ça m'a causé une petite ampoule ici. Ok. Alors, j'ai deux questions.
On va le couper.
Non. Est-ce que vous pouvez juste le retaper et puis taper celui-là aussi? Parce que là, ça fait mal ici, là.
Ah, mais on va peut-être traiter aussi celle-là, non?
Ok, oui, ça c'est bien. Mais on ne coupe pas, là.
Non.
So I was in there in Courmayeur aid station forever. I grabbed all my nutrition from my drop bag. I did a full outfit change. I changed my shoes too. And then, apply sunscreen, And then I tried to eat a bunch, but didn't eat nearly enough, I don't think. I didn't have many options, and I felt rushed to get out of there. Everything took so long. Like, it was a very inefficient setup. So Charles is here crewing for me, but he's not allowed to get any food from me, or even to like go himself fill my bottles while I eat, for example. So kind of have to do it all yourself, so it's almost pointless to have a crew. Then I had to go see the first aid attendant again to get my toe retaped, because now the tape on the big toe is causing friction and a blister on the second toe. The medics there were super nice, and my feet feel great right now, so. Génial.
Okay.
Merci 100,000 fois.
UTMB was first held in 2003 when only 67 runners completed the race. Since then, it's grown to be one of the world's largest and most popular events, with several races of different distances throughout the week and requiring an army of some 15,000 volunteers.
YouTube. You want to run with me?
Canada.
Yeah, we're at Vancouver. Nice. Good. Yeah, you know, I'll get it done. Torontonian, fellow Canadian. That was a really fun section. Nice and runnable. So I just refilled my bottles, but that's about it. I've got lots of food still, and the next aid station is 5 kilometers away.
I'm just about to hit Refugio Berton. That climb pretty much broke my spirit. I am in very rough shape. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, to be honest.
Yeah?
Okay, hi. Hi.
She's tired.
Oh yeah, she's had a big day. Good dog. Good girl. Thank you.
There's a point in every run where everything just clicks. With the right mix of endorphins in your brain, of sugar in your bloodstream, and sometimes a little caffeine, you find yourself in a flow state where time both speeds up and slows down. And there's a saying in ultra running: if you feel bad, just give it an hour and you're likely to come around. But unfortunately, the inverse can be true as well. I had felt really sluggish on the climb out of Courmayeur, likely due to the heat. But I had found my legs again, and I was really enjoying this traverse and the views of the Mont Blanc Massif. Audrey, it turns out, had now hit a bit of a low point herself.
So this section here was my favorite during the TMB, and I was supposed to be excited about running this again, but instead I just vomited everything that I managed to eat in Courmayeur, so pasta, chips, and that all came back out. So I feel super weak, and at the moment no food is going in. I still got some NAC drink mix that I just refilled, so hopefully that goes down, because I really feel like shit and it sucks. Okay, let's see if I can get across this traverse here.
Thank you. Merci.
I did manage to have a gel just now, and it did not come back out. So hopefully that sustains me for a little bit. Bonjour. Thank you. But that's not a whole lot of calories.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Spent a few minutes there. I had some soup, a bunch of fruit, some cheese. I filled up my water. I actually feel a little too full to run, but that's a good problem to have. We'll walk for a minute here, and we're about to start a big climb. I like leaving an aid station with a full belly.
Made it to Bonatti. There is no aid station here, but at least there's water.
This climb is tough, and I definitely don't feel as spry as I did in the first half of the race. I've been eating, I'm well hydrated, I've been peeing a lot. We're at 104 kilometers. I'm quite a bit behind my time goal. That's okay. I just need to readjust my expectations here, because I still have 66 kilometers to go, so it's gonna be a long day. Somehow this climb is harder than I remembered it.
Just a bunch of strangers suffering together in silence in a stunning place.
There's the top, and that is the Switzerland border. I'm glad to have that climb over with. Grand Col Perret. 10 kilometers to La Folie. was not the aid station, it was just a checkpoint. But they did have water, so I filled up another bottle, dunked my hat. It's getting pretty warm.
I was now making my way down to La Foulie in Switzerland, while Audrey was about to start the climb herself up to Grand Col Ferret. After reaching La Foulie, we'd continue up the valley, climbing to a life base at Champay-Lac, then up and over a col before dropping down to Trion.
So I managed to eat a little bit there at the aid station at the bottom of the hill. Some soup, noodles, ham, oranges. Nothing fancy, you know. And now I'm making my way up to Grand Col Ferret, which is a really tough climb. And I am moving painfully slowly, but I'm moving. I'll get there.
Hey, hey, hey.
Come on, Vadir! Come on!
Good to see you. We'll throw back to Tour des Géants.
We ran from almost Champay to come here.
Okay. I first met Julien during Tour des Géants and had a chance to visit him the following year when we were in Switzerland.
Okay, see you in a few minutes.
He was here to cheer me on, along with our mutual friend Matt, who we'd also met at Tour. And there's nothing better than seeing friendly faces during a race like this.
Bonjour. All right, so we've just hit 120 kilometers, which by my calculation means we've got a 50K left. Just an ultra marathon to go.
So it's 4 o'clock now, and I'm making my way down the very long descent to La Foulie. And we're actually going a different way than I did with Jeff on the TMB. Guess we didn't realize we're supposed to come this way. Still not feeling great. Haven't puked again though, so that's good. Keeping some food down. But definitely very low energy. Okay, 5 o'clock, 23 hours in, 14 kilometers to Champex-Lac, which is the next major aid station where I'm gonna see Charles one more time.
Champex-Lac. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, great to see you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're a good man.
Okay, I gotta get out there. All right, let's get back out there. We've got 40 kilometers left.
On peut se faire plaisir et on en redemande.
Ça va? So we're now actually on the Swiss Peaks 360 course for the next, I think it's about 10 kilometers, maybe 15 kilometers. The course intersected with the Champex-Lac aid station there. In fact, the race used the UTMB aid station. So I know this next climb well. This will be the third time I've done it now.
There is so much pavement in this section. It's unpleasant. But at least it's a beautiful evening. I just can't wait to be done.
By this point, I'd met Andrea, an Italian runner who I'd yo-yo with for the next few hours, before teaming up together for a couple of the later climbs.
Merci beaucoup.
So it's now 6:30 p.m. and starting to climb to Champex-Lac, which, if I recall, it's only like 500 or 600 meters. I mean, it's still gonna hurt, but it shouldn't take too long, hopefully.
Looks like it's starting to rain. Yeah, there's our next climb.
Just leaving Champex-Lac. We're the last 46-ish, okay? So essentially another full night out for me. It's probably gonna take about 10 hours. And Charles here provided assistance to me at this aid station, which was lovely. I ate a little bit, not enough. Don't feel hungry even though I know I'm starved. Nancy? I'm just walking it off, getting warmed up again because my legs feel really stiff right now. Thank you.
You know, I'm feeling a lot better on this climb. And I think it's because the temperature dropped when the sun went down. So I'm thinking it was the heat earlier today It kind of got to me throughout the afternoon. So I should be able to do some good climbing here tonight and into early morning.
Ouais. Jeff, il vient d'où? Du Canada.
Vancouver.
Ouais, super.
Ouais.
Allez, bravo.
All right, that was just a checkpoint. They had water, but nothing else. I've still got some water here. That was actually an aid station during Swiss Peaks 360K. I remember having some really good pasta, or at least it was really good at the time.
And just like that, it's nighttime again. Ready for some more Blair Witch Project vlog. I'm here with my friend George from the UK.
Trying to beat my time from 2015, but struggling.
It's 10:15 and we're almost at Bovine. After that, we drop down to Trian.
How do you pronounce it?
Trian.
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 Trian. Trian.
Trian.
Trian. I'm like Joey or French.
Yeah, you are.
All right, ate a bunch there. They didn't have pasta. They did have soup with the noodles that they put in it, so I had 2 bowls of that. A bunch of cheese and bread. Coke.
Ah, Jeff!
Who's that?
Jeff number 2!
Hey!
2 downhill wheels!
Look at him go!
From Trian, we'd have another big climb as we passed back into France and down to Vallorcine, the final major aid station. We'd then climb back out of the valley just one last time, followed by a long and somewhat technical traverse to the last minor rest stop at La Flégère, before dropping down to the finish line in Chamonix.
It's midnight and I'm just leaving Trian. Charles was here. He surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be there. So that's nice. I was able to quickly help me fill up my bottles and get a couple of things organized. But yeah, that was a quick step. I didn't even sit down. Had some watermelon, noodle soup, and then just put some more NAC powder in my bottles. I'm hopeful I can maybe get to the finish line in 36 hours. Might be pushing it. We'll see.
Audrey's race had begun to turn around, but I, on the other hand, had started to get extremely tired as I approached the 30-hour mark and would really struggle not to fall asleep on my feet over the final few hours of the race.
That was a tough climb, as expected. Took almost 2 hours. Hopefully no more than 1 hour down now. It's really cold up here. Keep thinking about pulling my pants out of my bag, but first of all, that's a lot of work and I'm lazy. Second of all, I'm gonna be hot again as soon as we drop 300 meters. I mean, I've been feeling better since nightfall. I'm able to eat a reasonable amount again, so that's good. I mean, of course, everything is hurting, but I'm also starting to have, you know, your typical blurry vision after so many hours without sleep. So that's not cool, especially for running downhill. So that will definitely slow me down. And I'm feeling a little, you know, dizzy, nauseous, just highly caffeinated. A really good cocktail.
Well, I just broke a pole, which sucks. Fortunately, we're pretty much at the top of the last climb. So timing could be worse. I borrowed these from Charles. Sorry, Charles. I'll buy you a new one.
I'm just arriving in Vallorcine. It's 3 a.m. That last hill took 3 hours, which is kind of what I expected. Gonna try and chow down a bit of food ahead of the last big climb. Hi. How's it going?
Okay, that's the last aid station. Just 8 kilometers downhill to Chamonix.
It is 4 a.m. and I'm actually making my way up to La Flégère. This is the very last big climb, and at times I really didn't think it was gonna happen today. I wanted to quit so many times. There were a lot of low points, and ultimately what I had to do is just convince myself to get to the next aid station and only focus on that. So here we go. This is the last mountain standing between me and the UTMB finish line in Chamonix. Let's go.
106 miles around the Mont Blanc Massif. A little bit longer than I planned, but that's okay. Full value. One last climb.
Jeff. Bravo, Jeff.
175 kilometers around the Mont Blanc Massif. I'm tired. Ready for bed.
Jeff, vinto Kilian.
Et Audrey, voilà le Canada, c'est maintenant le drapeau avec l'arrivée de Audrey la première. Bravo Audrey. Et Sébastien Lemoyne qui arrive. Voilà, très bonne compagnie Sébastien.
A problem.
You do? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I mean, I have a few problems. My biggest one is my knee. I won't bend anymore.
Oh no.
So I had to walk most of that downhill.
Well, you did it, babe.
You're gonna be carrying me around for the next 2 weeks. Or rolling me around in a wheelchair.
Yeah, wheelchair. Okay. We'll get you a wheelchair.
Oh, that was so hard. Wasn't it?
It was hard.
I've been in so much pain for like the last 30 hours. 47th female overall.
47.
That's awesome. I can't believe my slow ass is in the top 50. I'm only happy because I'm done.
UTMB was everything that we'd hoped for. The crowds of supporters were the best that we'd experienced. Although we did miss the feeling of solitude that you can find in races with smaller fields of runners. Having said that, we both made a lot of friends on course, and I can tell you from experience that those bonds tend to endure.
Oh, dude! You kept me in there for a little bit.
And then you dropped me.
I don't know what happened. The legs came alive.
So we were watching and tracking both of you, and you guys kept like right there on the tracker. We're like, it'd be really awesome if those two randomly met and started running with one another.
We spent that afternoon relaxing before heading back to town for the post-race dinner and celebrations. And for our final day in Chamonix, we had just one thing on the schedule: pampering ourselves at the spa.